Oh, we're live. Great. Welcome to Let's Talk Immigration. Today is Wednesday, October the 15th, 2025. I have to do this thing where I retweet or repost, whatever it's called. Okay, so what am I going to talk about here? Let's talk about what's going on in visa news, because everybody knows that I work in the visa space. So visa news is important. It looks like on October 10th, there were 2 updates on the US Visa News website. I was like, what are these? Because they look like they're named the same as 2 updates that were from back in August 28th and I think like September 4th. But those updates are not there anymore. And the State Department's done something peculiar I've not seen them do before. They've removed those old posts and made new posts. And there's only one thing that I found that was different in the new post from the old post, and that is residents of Burkina Faso. They have decided to not do visa interviews in your country. So now you must do your visa interviews for both immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas in Togo at Lome, U.S. Embassy Lome. So that's what's going on with U.S. visa news. Yeah, this right here is where they've put a pause on visa interviews at that embassy. Okay. What else is going on? A lot of people ask me, DV 2027 registration period, has it started yet? No, it has not started yet, and they haven't announced when it's going to start yet. I suspect that it's not going to be till summer. I know Brett Simon, who has followed the DV program longer than I have, is a little bit more optimistic than I am. He thinks it might start within a couple months. I checked the regulations. It looks like by law, they just have to have a 30-day period during the fiscal year preceding the fiscal year of that they issue the visas. So it could be September. It could be really that late. Let's hope it's not that late, because that would be chaos. But I don't expect DV 2027 registration to start real soon. Okay. What's happening with travel ban litigation? Okay, so in our lawsuit CM 515 for internal plaintiffs, that's our DV lawsuit challenging the travel ban. We have a couple developments. The government filed the appeal of our half victory. We filed a cross appeal of their half victory. So it's going to the appeals court. Okay. Also, we are in the process of filing a motion for emergency injunctive relief in that case for our plaintiffs who were issued visas without an exception. If you weren't following, of those 102 plaintiffs, it looks like 82 of them were issued visas as a result of the judge's order. But a lot of those visas had exceptions, and a lot of those visas did not have exceptions. Exceptions would be like Iranian minority, ethnic or religious minority, or dual national. So for the plaintiffs who were issued those visas that do not have exceptions, 9 of those families have hired us to do the cross appeal, and we are going back to the judge and saying, hey, can you extend the expiration date of those diversity visas while we see what happens with that appeal or summary judgment? This is not unprecedented. Judge Mehta actually did this for us in 2021 when Biden failed to rescind Proclamation 10014 and 10052 in a timely manner. Okay, so that's what we're working on. We've got a couple things we're working on in that case, the appeal, and also we're going back to Judge Suknangman with this motion. Can't file it before Friday because the government, I reached out to the government attorney, and the government attorney said, oh, the State Department has limited capacity right now, or because not everybody's working because of the government shutdown. So we're kind of limited there because of the government shutdown. Pretty crazy. I hope they don't try to use that as an excuse through the rest of that litigation. Okay, and so I made a video I want you to check out. It's 4 minutes, so I'm not going to share it right here. But if you go to our YouTube channel, which you might already be at, or anywhere on our social, you might find this video on AI versus attorney, why human expertise still wins in court. Okay. Oh, hi, nice music. My name is Curtis Morrison. I'm an attorney with Ready Go Law. We do a lot of mandamus. I sound like a crazy person. Anyway, what I show in this video is how one judge recently issued 2 orders, one where he found that the State Department did not have a duty to adjudicate a visa after a 221G refusal, and one where he did. And the difference is, in the one on the left, they're pro se. The one on the right, they used an attorney. Not me, Jennifer Nimmer, who's also a great attorney. But with AI, I know a lot of people are feeling confident to go pro se without an attorney, and sometimes it works out. I'm just saying sometimes this happens. Sometimes you don't make an argument that you need to make. And so I just encourage you to check out that video if you're thinking about pro se. Pro se means without an attorney. Video, I'm going to share it in comments. Okay. What else is going on? We have other lawsuits challenging the travel ban. One on behalf of family preference category. We're getting ready to file another that onboarding's finished for. We're going to file that next Tuesday, I believe, in the Northern District of California. The other one's filed in the Central District of California. And then we've got another one in the Central District of California. We've got one in Massachusetts, and we've got 2 in DC. The 2 in DC, CM 178, CM 328. I get a lot of inquiries from the plaintiffs in those cases and saying what's going on. In those 2 cases, we're waiting for Judge Chutkan to say it's okay to amend your complaint. We filed a proposed amended complaint, but we need her okay. She needs to grant us leave to do that. Okay. So, do I have any questions here? Sammy, frequent watcher, says, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm sure you said yeah to something cool I said. Sometimes I say some cool things, right? Trying to think what else is going on in visa news, visa world, mandamus world. A lot of people are hiring us to do mandamus lawsuits for cases that are not subject to the travel ban, like Iranian IR5, IR1, CR1, IR2, or a lot of Russians. The Russians are facing delays in administrative processing. We're also doing a lot of USCIS mandamuses, and I'm attending USCIS interviews. I've got 2 I'm attending next week, one on Monday, one on Tuesday. And getting back to attending USCIS interviews is reminding me of a bunch of tips that I'm sharing with people on a regular basis after I get out of an interview and I realize, oh my gosh, I need to remind people to do this. Here's a big one. If you're a green card holder and you move, you have 10 days to notify USCIS of your mailing address. And then people ask me questions like, well, what about like my mailing address is different from where I live? Okay, that's fine. The AR11 has a field for your mailing address and your physical address. Here's the thing. Do not keep that information from USCIS, because if you do, you're going to be in an interview for an immigration benefit, and they are going to interrogate you on what's the reason for the address discrepancy. You're going to have to explain it, and it is exhausting. Oh, Sammy says, I feel like you covered everything about DV at this point. Well, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned the UK lawsuit. So in DV 2025, the State Department didn't notify selectees from United Kingdom that they had been selected. And so there was like none selected. That was really weird. So we sued them, and then they said, oh yeah, we just forgot to tell them. Okay. And then I was like, well, they like dismiss your lawsuit now. And I'm like, no, you didn't do it for 2026 either. And they're like, we don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, what? And so we didn't dismiss the lawsuit. We got an extension. We amended the complaint. We added plaintiffs who were DV 2026 selectees. Britt Simon helped drive this case. I'm grateful to him for that. And so they announced on US Visa News the beginning of October, they're like, oh, yeah, we forgot to notify DV 2026 UK selectees. So we're doing that now. We still have not dismissed that lawsuit. I'm a little irritated that plaintiffs would have to pay the way to get them to, and we would have to do the work to get them to administer the program correctly. And then like they don't step forward and pay the attorney fees. That doesn't feel right. So we're not dismissing that lawsuit at this time. Sammy mentions the $1 thing. How people are going to, for that $1 entry that doesn't have an American payment system. See, Trump dreamed up, or Stephen Miller dreamed up this $1 entry, and I don't think they realize that it's extremely difficult to collect money internationally. That's why when we did the Good Luck lawsuit and we had like 14,000 families as plaintiffs, or was it 11,000? I forget. We had to change merchant service petitions. We had our merchant service companies. We had to be creative and take other money ways we don't normally take it. And we had to defer payments from countries where you just cannot make transactions from, like Iran and Cuba and Nepal and a few others. So I don't think the United States has taken that into account when they passed this passport rule. And I think that's the problem. I think that's why they haven't implemented the rule yet. So, and plus, like a $1 charge, like some charge companies, they don't want to mess with that. So that might be a problem too. Anyway, I would love to sue about that, but I have too much going on. We have a lot of pending lawsuits. The travel ban has kind of messed us up with respect to our backlog, because we have lawsuits that are just stayed, or they're not going anywhere because our plaintiffs are not eligible for visas right now while the travel ban's in effect. So we've got a lot of work on our plate, and we're of course always taking new business, but I don't have time to do pro bono free lawsuits to change policy. At least right now, not this moment. Hopefully, maybe soon. Okay. That's all I have to talk about today. Doesn't look like there's any questions. Thank you for spending 15 minutes with me. I'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you next Wednesday. Yes, I'll see you next Wednesday, October 22nd, for Let's Talk Immigration. Bring your questions. Thanks.